The morning sun spilled through the tall windows of Seoul National University, casting a warm glow over the lecture hall. Jane adjusted the strap of her backpack as she walked past clusters of students, her eyes scanning the whiteboard filled with complex equations. Even here, far from Lagos where she grew up, she felt a sense of belonging. Jane had moved to Korea at 15, driven by a love for the culture that had captured her heart in countless K-dramas and Korean pop songs. Her parents, supportive and adventurous, had encouraged her to chase this dream, enrolling her in schools known for excellence and cultural immersion. Now, at 21, she was fluent in Korean, confident, independent, and fiercely proud of her African roots. In class, Jane quietly helped a fellow student understand a tricky problem. Her patience and clarity made her popular among peers, even if her quiet confidence set her apart. She wasn't seeking attention, but somehow it always found her. After her lecture, Jane made her way to the university cafe, headphones in, humming a soft K-pop tune. The streets were alive with students rushing to part-time jobs, couples holding hands, and the neon signs of small shops flickering to life. She loved this city the way it blended history and modernity, tradition and chaos. Korea wasn't just a place to live, it was a part of her identity now. Meanwhile, just a few streets away, Min Hao leaned against the sleek black entrance of Club Mirage, headphones slung casually around his neck. Handsome, untouchable, the bad boy DJ from a wealthy family, he exuded confidence without trying. His life was a constant blur of neon lights, loud music, and exclusive parties. Yet tonight, he was off duty, dragged along by his friends to a street festival near Hongdae, their laughter echoing down the streets. As fate would have it, Jane exited a narrow alley near the festival, adjusting her scarf, when she collided literally with Min Ho. "Oh, I'm so sorry," Jane exclaimed, stepping back, her voice melodic and apologetic. Min Ho caught her by the elbow, steadying her with a smirk. "Careful," he said, teasing. "Are you always this clumsy, or is it just me you've chosen to bump into?" Jane blinked, flustered, her cheeks warming. His dark hair fell perfectly over his forehead, eyes sharp yet curious, and his mischievous smile made her heart skip a beat. I wasn't looking where I was going," she stammered. "It's just crowded." Min Ho's smirk softened ever so slightly. "Maybe the universe wanted us to meet," he said smoothly. Jane noticed the faint scent of his cologne, and her pulse quickened. Before they could speak further, the crowd pushed them apart. Jane hurried off, glancing back once, and Min Ho's dark eyes followed her retreating figure, intrigue lighting his features. Something about her confidence, elegance, and laughter barely contained made him think she wouldn't be easy to charm. And for Min Ho, who had never met a challenge he couldn't tease or conquer, that thought sparked something dangerous and irresistible. In that fleeting collision, two worlds collided: Jane's disciplined, bright, and hopeful life, and Min Ho's glamorous, chaotic world of music and privilege. Neither knew it yet, but this encounter was the first step toward a story neither could have predicted. The neon lights of Club Mirage pulsed like a heartbeat, the deep bass vibrating through the floor as Min Ho leaned over the DJ console, headphones snug around his neck. The crowd cheered, glasses clinking, music and laughter blending into an intoxicating rhythm. But even in the middle of the chaos, Min Ho's mind wandered back to Jane. It had been 2 days since their accidental collision on the Hongdae streets. Jisoo, his close friend and partner in mischief, had been there, teasing him mercilessly while Min Ho had steadied Jane. At the time, Min Ho hadn't given it much thought, just another fluke encounter in a city full of beautiful faces. But Jisoo, ever observant, had filed the incident away in his mind, noting how Jane's presence had flustered Min Ho more than he cared to admit. Later that day, Jisoo happened to see Jane again on the university campus. She walked confidently through the courtyard, laughing lightly with her friends. the sun catching her hair, making it shine like gold. She was the same girl from the collision, vibrant and untouchable, and Jisoo's eyes widened. He immediately texted the rest of the squad 3 other friends, all notorious for their dares and bets, with a single note. DI's the African girl. She's here. Same one we saw with Min Ho 2 days ago. Wait, the ID, the A. African girl? That African girl? One of the boys asked, intrigued. I've heard about her. Smart, fearless, everyone at uni talks about her. Jisoo smirked. Yep, that's the one. And Min Ho? He bumped into her and didn't even realize what he was stepping into. A plan began to form. Later, in Min Ho's private lounge, the 4 friends leaned around him, grinning like predators circling a prize. Jisoo nudged Min Ho, his voice teasing. Seriously, Min Ho? He said, leaning forward, eyes glinting. She's beautiful, smart, untouchable. Nobody gets to her. You think you can handle her? One of the other friends, Taehyung, laughed, shaking his head. Oh, come on. She's not like any girl you've ever chased. I'd pay to see you try. Another, Ji-hoon, smirked. You mean make her yours in 7 days? Bet you can't do it. She'll turn you down before you even finish a line. A fourth, Seok-jin, leaned back, crossing his arms. Yeah, Min Ho. This is serious. She's different. Don't mess it up or you'll look like a fool. Min Ho raised an eyebrow, a cocky smile tugging at his lips. 7 days, huh? He looked at each of them, his dark eyes flashing with amusement. Sounds fun. I'll take it. His friends erupted in laughter, teasing him relentlessly, calling him reckless and overconfident. Min Ho's grin widened. There was a thrill in the challenge, no just winning the bet, but proving he could charm the untouchable African girl. Meanwhile, Jane walked through the university courtyard, books clutched to her chest, her thoughts on the upcoming cultural festival she was helping organize. She smiled at a few classmates, her laugh light and genuine, completely oblivious to the storm of attention gathering around her. Min Ho, still at the club later that night, couldn't shake the image of her. Confident, smart, independent, and utterly captivating. The bet, meant as a playful challenge from his friends, suddenly felt heavier, more personal. He didn't know it yet, but this week-long game would become far more than a bet. It would test his heart, his patience, and everything he thought he knew about love. Because in the unpredictable rhythm of life, sometimes the person you think you're playing with ends up playing with you instead. The sun hung low over the university, casting golden light across the courtyard. Jane walked briskly, books clutched against her chest, her mind focused on the cultural festival she was organizing. She was unaware of the sharp gaze tracking her from a few meters away. Min Ho leaned casually against the edge of the fountain, his arms crossed, dark eyes following her every movement. His friends had already left, claiming their part in the bet was done for the day, leaving him alone with the challenge. 7 days. That was all he had to make the untouchable African girl notice him. Ooh. He smiled, the corner of his lips curling into a sly, confident smirk. Not because he was sure he would succeed, but because something about her drew him a pull he hadn't felt in years, though he would never admit it. Meanwhile, Jane didn't even notice the world around her, lost in her thoughts. She barely glanced up when a frisbee bounced past her, narrowly missing her foot. Whoa, she exclaimed, steadying herself. And that was when Min Ho made his move. He stepped forward, effortlessly catching the frisbee midair before it hit her again. Careful, he said smoothly, holding it out to her. Wouldn't want to see you injured on my watch. Jane blinked, startled, then recognized him. Her lips curved into a polite smile, though her eyes were wary. Oh, it's you, she said softly. Thanks, I guess. Min Ho's grin widened. No need to thank me, he replied, leaning casually on the fountain edge. But you should be careful. The campus can be unpredictable. Jane raised an eyebrow, amused despite herself. You talk like you patrol the place all the time. I do my best, he said lightly, though his eyes didn't leave hers. I like knowing the people around me are safe, especially interesting ones. Her laugh was quiet but genuine, and Minho allowed himself a subtle smirk. Interesting ones, huh? That's a bold statement, she said. Bold or honest, he countered, letting his smirk linger. I like honesty. Ain? Jane tilted her head slightly, scrutinizing him for a moment. And what makes you interested in honesty today? Minho shrugged, casual, his dark eyes thoughtful. Maybe it's the honesty of noticing someone remarkable when they pass by. Jane blinked, caught off guard, but quickly regained her composure. I think remarkable people notice remarkable things all the time, she said, smiling faintly. The banter continued for a few more moments, each word charged with playful tension. Every glance, every subtle smile made Minho intrigued, curious about this fearless, confident girl. He was supposed to be executing a B-Tay game, but he found her reactions unpredictable, her wit sharper than he expected. She wasn't just a challenge, she was a puzzle he wanted to figure out, a presence that demanded his attention. When Jane finally excused herself, Minho watched her walk away, the sway of her steps and the confidence in her stride leaving a lasting impression. Jisoo had been, Richie was untouchable. But for now, it was all part of the game. And in that fleeting encounter, the chase began, but neither of them knew just how complicated things could get when curiosity meets attraction. The campus cafe buzzed with the usual hum of students, the scent of coffee and pastries hanging in the air. In sat by the window, textbooks open, meticulously preparing for her cultural festival presentation. Sunlight caught the edge of her dark braid, highlighting the focus and determination in her sharp eyes. Minho strolled in, effortlessly cool, sunglasses hiding any hint of emotion. He spotted Jane instantly, just as he had 2 days ago on campus. Today he would make his move, but strictly as part of the bet. No distractions, no feelings. Just the game. Mind if I join you? He asked, pulling out a chair across from her with a casual swagger. Ain looked up, startled, her dark eyes narrowing slightly. Sure, she said cautiously, closing her notebook just enough to acknowledge him. Minho's grin was teasing, unapologetic. Always buried in your work, huh? I didn't realize someone could be this disciplined. Jane raised an eyebrow, refusing to be intimidated. Disciplined, yes, but you clearly have a talent for stating the obvious. He leaned back, folding his arms, clearly enjoying the banter. Talent, charm, I have a lot of things. But right now, I'm just curious about you. Jane blinked, slightly annoyed but intrigued. Curious? That's a dangerous word, coming from someone like you. He smirked, leaning forward just slightly. Dangerous is my specialty. Conversation was a delicate dance, words carefully chosen, glances measured. Jane found herself laughing lightly at his teasing, but she kept her guard up. Minho was smooth, confident, magnetic even, but there was something undeniably game-like about him, a deliberate charm that kept him unreadable. Throughout the afternoon, they exchanged witty remarks, small challenges, and subtle jabs. Minho flicked a sugar packet at her coffee cup. Bet you can't catch this, he said. Jane caught it effortlessly, arching an eyebrow. Challenge accepted, she replied, a faint smile tugging at her lips. No one around them seemed to notice the tension building, but Minho's friends hidden somewhere in the back of his mind were already waiting for updates. He didn't care about them now. He was focused on winning the game, nothing more. As Jane packed up her things and left, she glanced over her shoulder, sensing someone was watching. Min-ho leaned against a pillar, smirking subtly, his presence magnetic but distant. He wasn't affected emotionally, yet he couldn't afford to be. This was still a bet, still a challenge. The day ended with unspoken tension, a slow-building anticipation. Jane, unaware of the bet, wondered about the audacious Korean man who seemed to appear just at the right or wrong moments. Min-ho, still firmly in control of his plan, allowed himself only one thought. The game had begun, and he would win no distractions. The seed of intrigue had been planted. The slow burn was set, and nobody Jane, Min-ho, or their friends knew just how unpredictable the next 7 days would become. The next morning, the campus corridors buzzed with students rushing to lectures. Jane moved with practiced ease, books clutched to her chest, her mind already focused on presentations, club meetings, and the cultural festival rehearsals. She barely noticed the sudden stir of whispers as she passed, but one familiar presence caught her eye. Min-ho was leaning casually against a pillar near the entrance, his dark jacket unzipped just enough to show the confidence in his stance. He didn't smile. Not yet. He was observing, calculating, waiting for the perfect moment to make his next move in the bet. "Fancy seeing you here," he said smoothly as she approached, voice low enough for only her to hear. Jane paused, a flicker of annoyance crossing her face. "You really have a talent for showing up everywhere," she said, not allowing herself to seem impressed. He raised an eyebrow, grinning. "Everywhere the fun is, I guess." The playful banter continued, each sentence a tiny skirmish in their unspoken game. Ian felt a mixture of curiosity and irritation. There was something magnetic about him, something she couldn't quite place, but she refused to let it distract her. As the day went on, fate, or perhaps Min-ho's deliberate plan, kept putting them in the same spaces. In the library, he accidentally brushed against her arm while reaching for a book. At the student cafe, he offered to carry her tray when she struggled with her coffee and textbooks. Each gesture was small, deliberate, teasing, but not enough to hint at genuine affection. By evening, Jane found herself reflecting on the encounters. She couldn't help but notice how easy he was to talk to, how effortlessly he moved through the social scene, and how people seemed drawn to him. Yet there was a barrier wall of arrogance, charm, and deliberate mystery that made him untouchable. Meanwhile, Min-ho sat with his friends in the private lounge, recounting the day with precise detail, his tone teasing but detached. Yisu leaned forward, smirking. "She didn't even look at you the way you thought she would." Min-ho shrugged. "She's clever, observant, a challenge which makes it fun." The squad chuckled, unaware that while Min-ho's words sounded confident, the spark of genuine curiosity about Jane was beginning to form in the background. But it was faint, hidden beneath the thrill of the bet and his relentless cool. Back in her dorm, Jane traced her fingers along the edge of her notebook, thinking about the day. Something about Min-ho irritated Airbut in a way that made her pulse quicken. She didn't understand him, and that unsettled her. Unseen, Min-ho watched from across the courtyard, leaning against a lamppost, arms crossed. He didn't allow himself to think about why he wanted to see her smile again, or why his curiosity had grown. Not yet. For now, it was still a game. 7 days. One bet. One objective. Win. But as the sun dipped behind the campus buildings, the first threads of tension, the subtle pull between them, had begun to weave themselves into something more intricate than either could anticipate. Challenge was escalating, and the next moves would determine whether this bet remained a playful game or something entirely unpredictable. It was day 6 of the bet, and Min-ho's carefully calculated game was beginning to unravel in ways he hadn't anticipated. He had intended to charm Jane, tease her, make her laugh, but somewhere along the way, his heart had started to betray him. He wasn't just playing anymore. Every smile, every shared laugh, every glance from her had begun to plant something deeper in his chest, a warmth, a longing he had never expected to feel. Jane was in the campus courtyard, sketching designs for her cultural festival project. The sunlight glimmered on her hair as she hummed softly, completely unaware of Minho approaching. He leaned casually against the stone railing, pretending nonchalance, but his gaze never left her.
Yeah.
I think you've done this before, he teased lightly, trying to mask the way his chest tightened at the sight of her concentration. Jane glanced up, smiling faintly. Maybe. Why? Just curious, that's all, Minho said, leaning closer than necessary. His heartbeat was erratic, betraying him as he realized how much he wanted to linger her not as part of a game, but because of her. But fate had other plans. Minho's friend Jisoo had been trying to reach him all morning, and finally, Minho excused himself to answer a quick call. He stepped just out of earshot, but Jane, noticing the lowered voice, couldn't resist eavesdropping. Oh, seriously, Minho. She's gorgeous. Untouchable. You think you can make her yours in 7 days? Jisoo's teasing tone floated clearly through the thin wall of the corridor. Jane's eyes widened as the truth sank in. Her cheeks flushed with disbelief and hurt. The laughter, the smiles, the teasing attention, it had all been a bet. Minho's voice followed. Of course I can. It's just a game. Her hand flew to her mouth, and the sketchbook slipped from her lap. Her heart sank as betrayal and anger mingled with a rising wave of tears. She had believed there was something genuine in the quiet moments, the smiles, the teasing, but it had all been orchestrated. When Minho returned, he found Jane gathering her things quickly, her posture rigid. Jane, wait, he said, panic creeping into his voice. Don't, she said, eyes glistening, voice sharp with hurt. Don't even talk to me. All this time, it was a game for you. Minho's chest tightened painfully. For the first time, he realized that the rules of the bet had shifted long ago. He wasn't winning anymore, he was losing something far greater. Her trust. Her heart. I didn't mean it like that, he stammered, taking a careful step forward. Yes, the bet existed, but somewhere along the way. Jane turned, shaking her head, tears streaking her cheeks. You've ruined everything. I thought this was real. You reached out, but she backed away. The courtyard felt impossibly wide, the air thick with tension and longing. Minho's heart pounded. He wasn't thinking about winning a bet anymore. He was thinking about her, only her, and the cruel mistake of making a game out of something he now couldn't imagine living without. As Jane walked away, Minho's mind raced. Tomorrow wasn't just another day, it was the last day of the bet. But he didn't care about the wager anymore. All that mattered was proving to her that his feelings were real, that the playful teasing, the lingering glances, the small smiles, it had all become something he never expected. The morning after Jane overheard Minho's conversation with Jisoo, the campus felt unusually quiet to her. Every step, every laugh of passing students reminded her of the sting of betrayal. She had thought the connection she felt with Minho was genuine, but now it seemed like a cruel game. Her sketchbook clutched tightly to her chest. She avoided the usual paths he might take. Minho, on the other hand, could not sit still. The moment he realized Jane knew about the bet, panic had gripped him. It wasn't about winning anymore. It had never been about the bet once he started genuinely caring for her. The teasing, the playful banter, the subtle glances, they had all led him to one unavoidable truth. He was in love with her. He found her at the edge of the campus garden, tucked between blooming cherry trees, sketching quietly on a bench. Her posture was stiff, determined, as if walls had been built around her heart. Minho approached slowly, keeping his voice low and careful. Jane, he began. I need to explain. She didn't look up. I don't want to hear it. she whispered, her voice trembling. It was all a bed, wasn't it? Every smile, every word, just a game. Minho took a deep breath, steadying himself. Yes, the bet existed, but somewhere along the way it stopped being about winning. I never intended to hurt you, and I swear, every moment with you became real to me, Jane. I didn't just want to make you fall for me, I wanted to know you. Truly. All of you. Her hands clenched around the sketchbook, her dark eyes searching his face for a trace of truth. How do I know that's real? She asked softly, a quiver in her voice betraying the hurt beneath. Hey, I'll prove it, Minho said, stepping closer. The sunlight caught his face, highlighting a vulnerability that few had ever seen. No games, no tricks, just me, and just you. I'm not asking for forgiveness yet. I'm asking for a chance to show you what I feel. For a moment, silence hung between them, filled only by the rustling of leaves. Then, slowly, Jane's eyes softened just a fraction, and she allowed him to sit beside her. Over the next hour, Minho talked note with charm, not with teasing, but with honesty. He spoke of the moments he had genuinely enjoyed, the laughter that had become unforgettable, and the ways she had changed his world without even knowing it. Jane listened, her walls trembling but not yet broken. And then, as the sun dipped lower in the sky, a gentle breeze carrying the scent of blossoms around them, Minho's hand brushed hers. She froze, her heartbeat echoing in her ears. Jane, he whispered, voice low and trembling. I can't hide how I feel anymore. She turned to face him, eyes glistening with emotion, and before she could respond, Minho leaned in. His lips met hers softly, tenderly, the world around them fading into nothingness. Time slowed, the cherry blossoms swirling in the gentle wind, and for that moment, nothing existed but the heat of the kiss, the sincerity in his touch, and the unspoken promise of love. When they pulled apart, both breathless, Minho rested his forehead against hers. I know I don't deserve it yet, but I'll spend every day showing you this is real, he murmured. Jane's lips quirked into the smallest, tentative smile. You'd better, she whispered. And for the first time in days, the weight of betrayal lifted, replaced by hope, anticipation, and the unmistakable stirrings of love. Minho's hand tightened around hers. A silent vow. The bet was over, but what had begun in honesty, vulnerability, and courage was only the start of something far greater. As they walked back toward the campus together, side by side, hearts racing, it was clear their story had moved beyond games. It had moved into a place where love was real, raw, and utterly unforgettable. If you were Jane, would you give Minho another chance after discovering the truth? Comment your answer, and don't forget to like, share, subscribe.